John's going to Vegas to gamble. That brings up the question, what's the difference between gambling and investing? Hi, I'm Bridget Sullivan-Mermel, and I own a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm John Shearer, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. And before we get started, Bridget, on this topic, I want to remind everybody to hit the subscribe button. By subscribing to our channel, that helps other people find this information and also helps you keep up to date when new episodes come out. So hit subscribe, and then, let's talk about gambling and investing. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
So, John, I think it's a question that we get a lot because I think people feel like investing is a roller coaster, and really what's the difference between putting all your money on a roulette wheel versus gambling? And so talk me through, how do you think about it? And what do you think of Vegas?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're not asking for my underlying, psychological compulsions to go out to Las Vegas. We'll save that for a future episode, right? But I do honestly, I talk about this with clients in the idea that, oh, geez, it's a gamble putting your money into the stock market, things like this. And I tell people that gambling actually is like investing in a lot of, and one important way, but like nobody ever talks about this. There's one way you can make money in a casino. And it's sort of a trick question. Like, how do you make money in a casino? Guaranteed, right? I guarantee you make money if you're the casino, right? If you own the casino and you're on that positive side of the odds, over time you make money. And of course, well, how can I do this? It's that little bit of a math advantage, right? The casinos don't have a 50% advantage over the players. They've got a 1% or a 2% or a 5% advantage. And what the casinos do is just keep you playing. And that 5% over time turns into giant skyscraper hotels, right? Like that's what happens.
Yeah. So you're saying that with the odds in Vegas or any casino, about 45% of the time you win and 55% of the time the house wins or the casino wins.
That's right. And there's, depending on what game you play and which bets, right. But yeah, something like, it's not, I like playing the dice, playing craps, and the advantage is something like 1% to the house, 1 or 2%. Right. So, that my game, I like to play 48 times out of 100, I win. 52 out of 100, the house wins on average. Right. Sometimes I win all the time. Sometimes I lose all the time. But if people never won at the casinos, they never come back. Right. They have to be winners. And so how does that translate into investing? What are we talking about here? In investing, if you take a look at the stock market as a whole, over time, the market goes up. There's intrinsically built into stocks the idea that there's innovation and new technology and capitalism in some fashion does work. Like over time, these things work. And you don't need to bet on whether this company or that company is going to be the next best thing. It's that, listen, overall companies are going to be better next year than they were last year, metaphorically, right? In my lifetime, there's going to be growth. There's going to be new things that come out. And in order to be successful, all I need to do is be in the game and own companies over time. I mean, all companies, similar to if I'm at a casino, casinos will have losing days, right? Sometimes the dice roll and the people win. But all I got to do if I'm the casinos, I just need to keep people playing. And eventually those numbers work in my favor, those odds. If I just keep investing and buy all the companies, eventually the innovation and the growth that's all going to come down to me in some fashion. So that's how I relate that.
Yeah, I think that the odds, we talked about in a previous episode, if you've got a broad total stock market type of fund, instead of the odds being 45% in your favor, they're 75% in your favor.
Your favor as the investor. Yeah.
Right. And so you can believe the whole reason why that John just stated, which I believe too, but let's say you don't believe it. You think companies are they don't add value, whatever. You don't believe his whole explanation. You still need the actual fact is that 75% of the time, for whatever reason, the stock market goes up. So those odds are much better than the odds with casino.
it's really crazy. I appreciate that viewpoint that you just said on that, Bridget, because you think about, as we said, in the casino, right? Like they win 55 times out of 100, something less 55% of the time. And in the stock market in general, buying the stocks go up 75% of the time. Like, and as I said before, you think about those relatively small advantages the casino has, and that's how they built Las Vegas. That's how they built Atlantic City, all those gigantic hotels and all the things. And here we're talking from an investor standpoint, a 75% chance of winning any given year. You know, winning as you look, you go, holy man, that is a big thing. But it's so much different to think about when it's my money at risk, right? When I see that market, when I have those 1 in 4 years where it goes down, suddenly go, oh, whereas the casino goes, listen,
those years are for 3 years, you know,
right.
Like, that doesn't feel good. So nobody likes to lose money. And that's a phenomenon called loss aversion, which we could talk about in another episode. There's another factor. I want to just talk a little bit about how I see it slightly differently than just investing or gambling. I look at it as kind of a continuum where I've got something in the middle that is what I think of as speculation. And so that I would put cryptocurrency right now in that middle part, where I hear arguments that sometimes persuade me for cryptocurrency, and it might pay off big time, or it might just lose money. Like it might just totally lose. I don't know which way it's going. And so I see there is some probably, I think people argue that there is some underlying value there. So, and you know, it kind of persuades me occasionally. So I see crypto is in the middle, and I see investing in individual stocks. Say I wanted to buy shares of Tesla or Apple or Starbucks or whatever individual stock. I see that as not quite speculating, but certainly more like gambling than investing in the S&P 500 or in the total stock market. Because any individual stock, you are getting on the days of our lives roller coaster with that stock. And maybe that's fun for you. Maybe you like every time that the Elon Musk talks, you think, oh, that has something to do with me. Or every time Apple comes out with a new product, you think, oh, that's going to affect my portfolio. Maybe you like that. But I think that that's more, again, it's not quite speculation because there is value in the company. And when you invest in an individual stock, you have this awesome unlimited upside, and all you can do is lose your money. You know, so you have a limited downside and you have an unlimited upside, which is actually better than gambling in a lot of ways, because in gambling, there's typically a limited upside. You can only, if you win the lottery, you can only win whatever the lottery is for. You can't win any more than that. But it's still not quite, it's still in my mind closer on the continuum to speculating than and gambling than the investing in the like most prudent, wise way, which is what we recommend.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate. I really like the One Life to Live reference. I was more of a General Hospital guy myself.
I know, I'm a Young and the Restless fan myself. Yeah,
that's great. That's great. Well, hopefully that's of some use to our viewers. And that, you know, how do you look at this? And it does feel like sometimes, golly, it feels like I'm gambling when I'm talking about putting money into the stock market. It doesn't have to be like that. I love that continuum idea of, listen, somebody could choose to be more aggressive, could choose to be speculative, but it doesn't have to be if you sort of look at your investments as being the house in a casino, right? So with that, I think that's a great place to wrap up here. Both Bridget and I are members of the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, which is a national group of fee-only, tax-focused financial advisors. If you like the things that you hear here on our show, and you'd like to learn more, visit acplanners.org to find an advisor in your area that thinks in a similar way that we do.
And please subscribe. Thanks, John.
That's right. Thanks, Bridget.